Xavier was in the large room, carefully removing the poison in the old Master Yi. As he took a glance at his middle finger, he swallowed heavily. More poison accumulated on the tip. Xavier silently thought about it. This is really worrying me. Judging by how potent it is, I think only Lao's white bone-chilling heavenly flame would be strong enough to fully remove it. I'm not sure if my heavenly flame can do much against it, since some of the poison seems to withstand the heat. All I can do is hope that the poison won't decide to attack my body. The last thing I need is more to stress about. The upcoming contest of the Alchemist Assembly and the fight with Yan Nalan are stressing me out enough already, he thought. Xavier moved his hand back and sighed. All right, we will stop for today. It will only take a couple more times until all of the poison is removed from your body. The old Master Yi already looked a lot better. The scent of death had left his room, and there was a faint spark of light in the old man's eyes. His face had a lot more color as well, and his eyes were not as sunken in anymore. Thank you so much. I already can tell that there is a lot less poison in my body. He brushed off some sweat from his forehead. The intense pain he went through, as the poison exited his body, exhausted him. Xavier was exhausted too. He waved the old man's thanks off, not bothering to tell him that the only reason he agreed on doing this was for the green spirit plant he needed to help Lao. Yuhan, Yi's son, who was almost Xavier's father-in-law, was also present to watch Xavier remove the poison. He also looked a lot happier as his father's condition improved. Yuhan turned towards Xavier and took a step toward him. Young master, you must be exhausted after working so hard. If there are any rare ingredients or items you need, please tell us. Our clan has a lot of influence, so it should not be any problem to gather them for you. Xavier hesitated for a moment, but then smiled and took a grateful quick bow, before pulling out a pen and paper to list a few precious items down. He knew that the Nolan clan was amongst the wealthiest within the empire, so Yuhan was not just boasting as he offered to look for rare ingredients or items without problems. Xavier decided to use this to his advantage, and list a handful of items he knew he couldn't find at any market or auction house. As Yuhan took the paper and looked over it, his expression did not change at all. He nodded, and handed it to one of the female servants. Get them from our warehouse. If we don't have one of those things available, make sure to get them elsewhere, he ordered. The servant nodded quickly and walked out of the room to gather everything. Meanwhile, Master Yi got dressed again. Master Ying, why don't we go to the living room in the meantime for some tea? Xavier nodded and smiled. That sounds good. The three of them walked out of the room and along a hallway into a luxurious living room. It was decorated with gold and jewels. The armchairs and couches were all covered with red velvet, matching the red carpet and the red walls. They sat down on a low wooden table, and a servant brought a golden tablet with cups and a fancy jug filled with hot tea. Xavier gratefully took the cup and blew some of the steam away before taking a sip. Master Yi did the same thing before he asked Xavier, I assume you did not come to the capital just to save my life. Are you here for the alchemy assembly? Yes, Xavier lied without hesitation. Yuhan laughed. All these mighty alchemists gathering. That must be truly a spectacle, especially for a young alchemist like you. It must be very exciting. Are you nervous about the contest? Xavier waved it off. I am not one who bothers much with contests. I will participate, but I am not going to be upset if I won't win. Oh, don't be so humble now. A powerful alchemist like you has a good shot at winning, especially with a heavenly flame. I don't think there will be any other alchemist around your age with a heavenly flame. Yuhan smirked. Master Yi nodded in agreement. I agree, but no matter how powerful you are, it is not wise to go to the contest without some preparation. If you need any ingredients to practice before the contest, let us know. We would love to support you. Xavier smiled and nodded. Of course, he knew why the old Master Yi was so generous. He wanted to win Xavier over. Having a powerful alchemist working for them was something every wealthy family dreamt of, and while Xavier was only a level 2 alchemist now, both Yi and Yuhan knew that Xavier had a lot of potential. This was also why Xavier made sure to not ask for too many favors. If you would ask every day for priceless ingredients, it would be hard for him to reject any job offer from the Nolan family. I will let you know if I need anything. Xavier said, not rejecting the old man's offer directly. Don't mention it. We will gladly help you. Yi smiled at Xavier. And if your master needs any ingredients, he is free to ask us as well. Speaking of which, I don't think you mentioned his name, did you? I know many powerful alchemists, so I'm curious if I perhaps know him, he added. My master does not like to be around people. He has been living in isolation for many years. He also told me to not reveal any information about him, so I'm afraid I cannot tell you much about him, Xavier replied. Yi furrowed his brows. I understand. I am not going to ask again. I don't want to get you into trouble with your master. Silently, he thought about who this mysterious master could be. Yi knew that it would be impossible for someone of Xavier's age to possess a heavenly flame without an extraordinary master who helped him. Yi thought for a while, and eventually realized that whoever Xavier's master was must have been at least on the level of a high-level Q-master, if not even higher than that. After a while, the servant came back with a silver plate. On the plate were a few very rare ingredients. They were of perfect quality. Not a single foul spot or damaged leaf was to be found. Xavier thanked the servant and put the ingredients in the storage ring. He did not want to stay around for much longer. He was worried that there would only be more questions about him, and he really wanted to avoid those. I imagine you must be in a hurry. We don't want to keep you here for longer than we have to. Don't worry, we will lead you out ourselves. Yuhan must have noticed that Xavier was eager to leave. He stood up, and Xavier, as well as Yi, walked out of the room. Looks of awe and respect followed Xavier. None of them ever saw Yuhan and Yi lead someone so young out of the family's home. They could only think of 5 people within the empire who would deserve such an honor. Some of the younger clan members took respectful bows as they saw the young alchemist who saved Master Yi's life. Many threw him curious glances as well. They were curious about where Xavier was from and who his master was. Once they reached the main door, Xavier took a bow and turned around. He was just about to walk the pathway down to the gate, leading to the road, as he suddenly froze. There were 2 figures walking over to the door, one male and one female. The woman was wearing a white robe that was decorated with silver ornaments. Many envious gazes followed them. They quickly got everyone's attention. The man next to her was wearing an alchemist robe. He was also quite young, perhaps a year or 2 above 20. He had a gentle smile on his handsome face as he talked with the woman next to him. On the young man's alchemist robe was a badge. 3 silver waves were on it. Yan Alan, who is that level 3 alchemist? He does not look like he is any older than me, Xavier thought. Yuhan and Yi also saw the 2 people walking over. As they saw how Xavier froze, their smiles dropped. And as they saw what Xavier was looking at, they were clearly unhappy as well. Lady Yan and the young level 3 alchemist walked over to the entrance. As the young woman saw Xavier, she smiled. It is good to see you again, Master Ying. Have you met my friend Yuko? He is also an alchemist. To meet you. His polite smile seemed very genuine. It is nice to meet you too, Xavier said and shook Yuko's hand. Xavier did not want to be rude or disrespectful. Becoming a level 3 alchemist at such a young age was a big deal. Xavier did not even know there were level 3 alchemists that were so young. Until now, he assumed he was the youngest. Although he did not pass the level 3 alchemy test yet, he was fairly confident that he should manage it. Yuko, why are you hanging around with my granddaughter instead of training for the alchemist assembly? Aren't you going to join the competition this year? Master Yi glanced at the young alchemist. Yuko was the most outstanding young man he had met in many years. When it came to talent and ability, Yuko was undeniably a good match for Lady Yan. Although she never said it out loud, it appeared as if she liked Yuko a lot as well. However, Master Yi always remembered the agreement with his late old friend, Xavier's adoptive grandfather. Master Yi's heart ached at the thought of seeing Lady Yan marry someone else. Silently, Master Yi still tried to come up with a plan to save the already shattered, pre-arranged marriage between Xavier and Lady Yan. Yuko took a polite bow toward the old Master Yi. Don't worry, the alchemist assembly is about to begin soon. My master insisted that I need to participate, so I've been training as much as possible. I would not dare to miss out on the competition. He also told me that there are an insane number of powerful alchemists participating this year, so I should not feel too bad if I get defeated. Oh, and my master also told me to tell you hello. He hopes you have been feeling a bit better, he replied. Yuko then turned towards the disguised Xavier. Master Ying, I did not expect you to be able to help the old Master Yi. Everyone is talking about it. Removing that potent poison is a big deal. Even my master came to take a look, but did not have any way of getting rid of the poison. Is it true that you have one of those legendary heavenly flames? Xavier nodded. Who is your master anyway? Oh, my master is the Pill King Lucian. You might have heard of him. Yuko laughed awkwardly, but was not able to hide the pride in his voice as he said this. Xavier's expression did not change. Seeing this startled Yuko. Being the Pill King's apprentice was a big deal. However, judging by how calm Xavier remained, he did not care about this at all. Yuko was unsure how to react. All he could do was brush it off. Yeah. Anyway, who is your master? He asked. My master? I'm not sure if there is any point in talking about him. He's just some old alchemist hiding in the mountains. Not someone famous like the Pill King. Xavier gave a faint smile. You are very humble if you think that is the case. Your master must be extraordinary if he helped you to get a heavenly flame, especially seeing how young you are. How old are you? You must be around my age. Lady Yan chuckled a bit. Xavier glared at her. I did not have much of a choice. I was forced to become stronger, to settle something. Lady Yan was at a loss for words. The way Xavier looked at her sent a shiver down her spine. She cleared her throat and wanted to say something, but suddenly, Xavier spoke up. All right, I'm sorry, but I still have some things to take care of. I'm sorry for not staying to chat for a while. Goodbye, everyone. As soon as he said this, he walked onto the main road and disappeared amongst all the other people walking there. Yuko watched him disappear. As Xavier was gone, Yuko turned to Lady Yan. Have you seen the heavenly flame? Are the rumors true? Lady Yan nodded. Yes, I've seen him remove the poison from Grandpa's body before. I think he is the only one of your age who could be a threat during the competition, if he participates. For some reason, the young stranger gave Lady Yan a strange feeling. She could not describe it, but it was a feeling she never had around Yuko. Yuko must have noticed because his polite smile slowly dropped. As his face turned sour, his hands clenched into fists. Xavier did not care for it. He went back to the inn and trained for a few hours. Once he was done, a faint glow surrounded him. It was clear that this training session increased the Q energy in his body greatly. This poison contains a lot of energy. Even though I refined this Q energy, I can still sense its original turbulent Q energy. I should not be too unhappy about the large amount of energy, but I cannot help and worry if this is going to have any side effects. He took a look at his middle finger. The black tip spread out over his middle finger, after Xavier continued the sessions to remove the poison. Xavier also noticed that it turned even darker. He sighed and shook his head. Never mind. As long as I can get the green spirit plant and can wake up Master Lao, it'll be fine. I'm sure he can help me with his bone-chilling white heavenly flame. His heavenly flame is a lot stronger than mine, and should be able to remove this poison easily. Or at least I hope so. He shook his hand, and the poison from his finger withdrew inside his body. Seconds later, the finger turned back into its normal color. The Ice Emperor Hai walked into the room, and Xavier turned around. Xavier, is something wrong? Do you need some help when you go to the Nalan clan again? Xavier shook his head. Honestly, I'm not sure. There is something about the poison that worries me. Each time I remove some of the poison from Master Yi's body, it becomes stronger in mine. It gets stronger in your body. Then why do you keep helping him to remove the poison? Didn't you say you have some grudges against the Nalan clan? Don't tell me you just helped the old man out of kindness. That is not something you would usually do, is it? The Ice Emperor raised an eyebrow. Xavier was usually not one to get himself into trouble for the sake of helping someone, especially without reason. Xavier sighed. Look, I really need that green spirit plant. Unless you would offer to steal it for me, I don't think I have any other option but to help the old man. The Ice Emperor laughed. I understand. Don't get me wrong. I would love to help you out and steal it for you, but I like being alive. The Nalan family has a good relationship with the faction of the Misty Clouds and the Imperial family. If I would upset them, that old demon from the royal family would also get mad at me. Xavier did not ask what old demon the Ice Emperor was referring to. He could tell that it would not matter who it was. Upsetting the old demon would be bad news for both him and the Ice Emperor. All Xavier could do was nod. I figured. That is exactly what I meant. I don't have many options, do I? Besides, it's not like the poison is hurting me or my body in any way. No matter what you decide to do, try to not get yourself killed. I still need you to refine the purple recovery pill, remember? The Ice Emperor laughed. Relax. As soon as we have all the pill ingredients, I will help you by refining the pill. Xavier did not bother to tell him that without Lau's help, it would be impossible to do so. But if all goes well, and he can get his hands on the green spirit plant, then it should only be a matter of time before Lau wakes up again. Then Xavier did not have to worry about the poison, or about refining the pill anymore. All right then, the Ice Emperor said, and walked over to the couch to sit down. As he noticed how Xavier was staring at him, he furrowed his brows. Did I say something wrong? No, but I was about to start my alchemy training, Xavier answered. Oh, I understand. The Ice Emperor sighed, stood up, and went back to the door. Then I guess I will go for a walk. He knew that alchemists did not like to be bothered when practicing their skills. The Ice Emperor walked out and closed the door behind him. Xavier waited for a few moments before he pulled out the cauldron from his storage ring and placed it in front of him. He then pulled out some ingredients and placed them on the table next to him. He thought deeply as he looked over the ingredients. All right, I've been practicing this for a long time, and after eating the fire lotus seed, my ability to control the heavenly flame has improved a lot. It should not be too difficult for me to pass the level 3 alchemist test, or at least I don't think so. Man, I hope I'm not overestimating myself. But I did read that the most important part to pass a level 3 alchemist test would be the ability to control a flame. With my heavenly flame, that should be no problem at all. He sighed and rubbed over the icy surface of the cauldron. Anyway, it still won't be easy to win the first place in the competition at the Alchemist Assembly, especially not with this young level 3 alchemist Yuko taking part in it. He is the Pill King's apprentice after all. Yuko seemed pretty confident, though, as he said, there will be a lot more powerful alchemists than just him and me. Xavier picked up a few of the ingredients on the table. He carefully inspected them. With one hand, he heated the cauldron up with his green heavenly flame, and with his other hand, he threw the ingredients inside it. Let's try to refine a level 3 pill and see how it goes, he murmured. The ingredients that Xavier threw into the cauldron were immediately wrapped around by the green heavenly flame. Xavier already prepared a level 3 formula in advance. Or rather, Lau did. Before Lau passed out, he did put some formulas into Xavier's mind so that he could keep training. Luckily, Lau knew how fast Xavier was when it came to training alchemy, so he made sure to give him some formulas for higher-level pills. All right, I will try to refine the level 3 pill called the refreshment pill first. It is a pill that should make someone more sensitive to the natural Q energy in the world. It should also help someone to increase the speed of absorbing Q energy while training. And if the pill is of good quality, it should also help someone to absorb more Q energy than without it. Let's see. What else do I need to add? I need to add some fresh heart grass, a ripe heart fruit, some 10-year-old spiritual absorbing grass, and a level 3 monster heart. One by one, Xavier picked out the ingredients and added them to the others in the cauldron. He flicked his fingers, and the heavenly flame in the cauldron grew in size. The temperature in the room increased more and more. Faint smoke was emitted from the cauldron. Eventually, the room was shrouded with fog. Since this was the first time Xavier tried to refine a level 3 pill, the first few attempts failed. However, he was not disappointed by this. He knew by now that it was impossible to avoid this sort of experience. Silently, he thought back to the time where Lau failed to refine a pill. Remembering this made Xavier smile. I guess it does not matter how powerful an alchemist is. Anyone will fail at refining pills at some point. Gradually, Xavier changed what he thought needed to be changed. He went down with the heat, kept the ingredients in the fire for a shorter amount of time, and so on. Finally, at his third attempt, a round, shiny refreshment pill formed inside the cauldron. Xavier pulled it out and placed it into a small bottle. He inspected it and smiled broadly. Once he was done, he brushed some of the sweat from his forehead and continued to refine some more pills. As he was about to run out of ingredients, he finished 3 refreshment pills. He stored the pills carefully inside his storage ring. Refining the pills cost him a lot of energy. It was impossible to hide the exhaustion on his face. As soon as he was done, he cleaned the table, put the cauldron back into the storage ring, and went to bed. It was already getting dark outside. As Xavier woke up, it was already late in the morning. The sun shone through the window and on his face. He climbed out of his bed and stretched himself. His head felt dizzy. He did not expect that refining a level 3 pill would be so exhausting. As he was awake and dressed, he went to the Nolan clan to continue removing the poison from Master Yi's body. Although he had not seen the Ice Emperor since yesterday, Xavier was not worried about him. It was not likely that the Ice Emperor would encounter someone that would cause him any trouble. He was a high-level Q-master after all. There were only a handful of people that could be a threat to someone of his level. After Xavier was done with the session to remove the poison, he was invited to have a drink with some of the family members of the Nolan clan again. Xavier was too polite to reject them, even though he did not really feel like having a drink with any of them, especially not since Lady Yan was with them. For some reason, she acted as if she was very interested in Xavier. Of course, she still had no idea that this strange alchemist was Xavier. He made sure to keep his face disguised with the mask. Although Lady Yan appears to have matured a lot, Xavier struggled to pretend to like her. All he could think of was the engagement. Naturally, the young level 3 alchemist Yuko followed Lady Yan closely, and therefore was also present as they were having a drink. Xavier could sense how Yuko's eyes would nervously dart between Xavier and Lady Yan. Xavier had to try his hardest to not roll his eyes. He could tell that Yuko was in a bad mood, even though Yuko did his best to keep his polite smile. After half an hour of polite chatting, Xavier managed to excuse himself and said goodbye. As soon as he was gone, Yuko finally relaxed and let out a deep breath. "Master Yi, do you have any information about this alchemist Ying?" "Why?" The old man frowned. "Since we don't know anything about him, how can we trust him? He even refused to tell me his master's name. Isn't that weird?" Yuko pointed out. Master Yi shook his head. "Don't act like that. This young alchemist is a welcome guest in our family. I don't care for his background as long as he can remove all the poison within my body. Don't tell me you are jealous. You should not be. Besides, from everything I have heard, whoever is his master should not be any lower than the Pill King Lucian when it comes to levels of alchemy. You should remain respectful. Having him as an enemy would cause you a lot of trouble." The old man smiled a knowing smirk. "What? No, I am not jealous." Yuko burst into faked laughter. "I've never even met this alchemist Ying. What reason is there to be jealous?" He swiftly looked away. His eyes glanced at the confused Lady Yan who was close by, and he then cleared his throat. Lady Yan also looked unhappy. "Don't try anything stupid. If it is true what my grandfather says, and Ying's master is on the Pill King's level, then you don't want to upset him. Besides, Ying saved my grandfather's life." She brushed off a strand of hair on her forehead. As Master Yi left the room, Lady Yan stood up and followed him. "Yan, I am sure you know that." Lady Yan interrupted Yuko with a wave of her hand on her way out. "Look, I told you I don't think of you as more than a friend. I don't want to discuss all of that again. Besides, if I wanted to date someone, that person would have to be at least on my level. Right now, I don't think you would be worthy of being my boyfriend. Sure, you are the Pill King's apprentice, but this does not prove anything. And when it comes to fighting and D techniques, you are nowhere near my level." She did not stop as she said those words and vanished through the door, leaving Yuko behind with a sour expression. Yuko quickly ran after her. "I know that you need someone that is extraordinary as your boyfriend. You are going to be the future leader of the faction of the Misty Clouds after all. But I will win the competition at the Alchemist Assembly, and then you will see that I am worthy to be your boyfriend." Lady Yan laughed coldly. "Sure. But for this, you need to win the competition first. We can talk afterward." Yuko stopped and watched Lady Yan walk away before laughing coldly. "All right, I will win this competition, and I will make sure to humiliate this arrogant bastard." Meanwhile, Xavier was back at the inn for his daily training. The Q energy in the room was feeling very dense. It was possible to see Q energy ripples around Xavier's body. A faint green glow came from him. All of the surrounding natural Q energy flew toward his body. The glow on his body grew brighter and brighter. Suddenly, Xavier opened his eyes, and a green light shot out from them. As he opened his mouth, a black violent Q energy came forth. This dark Q energy flew upwards. The spot that this Q energy hit on the roof was immediately corroded. A small hole was left in the roof. Xavier took a deep breath. The glow around him slowly disappeared. Level 7 True Master. I can't believe that getting rid of the old man's poison helped me to speed up so much. I only absorbed 3 of his Q energy drops and already reached the next level. Xavier stood up and looked around as he stretched himself. Where is the old high? Shouldn't he be back by now? The Alchemist Assembly begins tomorrow. He sighed. Oh well, I'm sure he's fine. No matter where he is. I guess I have to head down to the Alchemist Society headquarters on my own. I still need to meet up with Grandmaster Anthony and Grandmaster Talon before the Alchemist Assembly starts. Xavier got dressed and walked out of the inn. He was surprised to see a large number of knights on horses patrolling through the city. They were dressed in shining silver armor and carried swords and spears. Countless people who passed by watched them with wide eyes. Knights? Wow! The Imperial family really does not want any accident to happen during the Alchemist Assembly. I have never seen them send knights anywhere before. He also watched them with awe. Until now, he had only seen knights in books about medieval history. Xavier did not expect some to show up here. He shook his head in disbelief and continued his way to the headquarters of the Alchemist Society. Xavier frowned as he reached the majestic building. It was a lot more crowded than the last time. Probably because of the Alchemist Assembly tomorrow, he thought. It took him a lot of effort to squeeze through the masses of people to enter the building. Just as he managed to enter, the people at the entrance turned around and ran back to the street. Xavier was left dumbfounded. What the hell is going on? He turned around and took a few steps toward the exit. There on the street was an extravagant carriage. It was decorated with golden ornaments and jewels. In front of it were 2 snow-white horses pulling it without complaint. The horses were as majestic as the carriage. On the carriage was a family crest with a dragon on it. Xavier recognized it immediately. The Imperial crest. I spent enough time in the Empire of the Heavens to recognize this. Surrounding this carriage were more than 10 people, hidden in black robes. Xavier's pupils dilated. Who are those people? There is something very unsettling about them. I should stay away from them, he thought. Suddenly the carriage stopped in front of the building. One of those people dressed in black stepped forwards and lifted the curtain from the entrance of the carriage. The other people in black formed a circle around the carriage. At the slightest disturbance, they would have killed anyone who dared to step too close. Their sharp eyes carefully watched the environment. Under countless gazes, a pale, slender hand reached out from the carriage, stepping out into the sun. The person who stepped out was wearing a purple dress that was decorated with silver embroidery. A purple belt wrapped around her waist. An elegant smile was on her face. However, Xavier could see a mischievous spark in her watery eyes. There's something weird about her, he thought for a bit. The crowd went wild. I can't believe that the young princess of the Imperial family is here. I've heard that her master is the deputy chairman of the Alchemist Society. Do you think she is here because of the Alchemist Assembly? I think so. There are rumors that talk about how much of a talented alchemist she is. I've heard that only half a year ago, she passed the test to call herself a level 3 alchemist. Level 3? At such a young age? That is incredible. A lot of people gasped as they overheard this conversation and began to whisper to each other. Some had heard that there was a young princess who trained to be an alchemist, but none of them knew that she already was a level 3 alchemist. They looked at the beautiful young woman with wide eyes that were filled with admiration. Xavier was no exception to this. He was also shocked to see another level 3 alchemist at this age. Although it should not have been too surprising, she was royalty after all. As long as a member of royalty had the right requirements to become an alchemist, they would not have to worry about gathering or buying ingredients or tools like cauldrons. After all, it was easy for them to buy whatever they wanted. Therefore, they could spend a lot of time training without worrying about finances. As the young princess stepped out of the carriage, and made her way to the headquarters of the Alchemist Society. Everyone in her way made space. Many people even took bows. Xavier shook his head and also walked back inside the headquarters of the Alchemist Society. Mr. Talon must have already told them that he was going to show up again. Without hesitation, Xavier walked upstairs and stopped in front of the large door. "Come in!" Only Grandmaster Talon was in the room. He sat at the same large table he and Grandmaster Anthony were sitting on while they were talking with Xavier. As he saw Xavier enter, he smiled widely. "It is good to see you. You are very punctual." "Of course, I wouldn't want to waste time," Xavier laughed. "I'm sure you know why I'm here." "To discuss the alchemy competition?" replied Grandmaster Talon. Xavier sat down on a chair across from Grandmaster Talon. "Exactly. This is my first time participating, so I have no idea what to expect. How is it done? Is everyone participating at the same time, or is it one after the other? Is there a specific order we follow when it is one after the other, or are the alchemists randomly called to a stage and perform?" Grandmaster Talon laughed. "Oh goodness, there are so many people participating, it would take ages if one after the other tried their luck. No, all of the alchemists will participate at the same time on a huge stage. There will be several rounds. At first, they start off easy, but each round will be harder than the one before. By the end, only one alchemist will be left, and he will be crowned the champion of the alchemy competition this year." Xavier nodded with a serious expression. He shivered at the thought of thousands of alchemists at the same stage refining pills at the same time. That must be quite impressive to see. So many alchemists at work at the same time. Though, isn't that stressful? I already don't like it when one person watches me refining pills. Grandmaster Talon laughed even more but waved Xavier's concerns off. "You won't notice when you were there. The tension and the pressure will keep you distracted. I remember my first time. It is quite the spectacle. Anyway, if you want to, you can take a look at the name list, but don't tell anyone that I let you have a look. This is an internal document, so I'm not allowed to show anyone. Since it is your first time participating, and since I believe you have a lot of potential, I will let you take a look." Grandmaster Talon picked up a scroll of paper from the table and shoved it toward Xavier, who thanked him with a smile and picked it up. Xavier unrolled it and let his eyes wander over the list. There were at least 30 people who Xavier thought could become a threat. Amongst them were Yuko, and also the young princess. "The princess listed here is the one from the imperial family, right?" Xavier pointed at her name. Her title was before her name, which was how he recognized her name. "Yes, have you met her?" Grandmaster Talon asked. "Briefly, I saw her at the entrance earlier. I only saw the crest of the imperial family and overheard some people talking about her." Xavier replied, "You should be careful around her. She is quite a force to be reckoned with, especially due to her connections. The young princess has many hidden cards." Grandmaster Talon warned Xavier and took a sip of tea from the cup in front of him. Xavier nodded and kept studying the list of names before handing it back to Grandmaster Talon. "It does look like I have some fierce competition. There are 13 level 3 alchemists," Xavier stated. Grandmaster Talon nodded. "I know it is a lot. Unfortunately, I cannot help you more than that." "No, I understand. You already helped me a lot." Xavier smiled. "Is there still something I need to do before the Alchemist Assembly starts tomorrow?" "There is, I'm afraid. There is a last sort of test. Not every participant has to pass this test. Only the participants who were recommended by a Grand Master of the Alchemist Society must do this. The Alchemist Society wants us to do so, to test our abilities as judges, to avoid the Grand Masters from recommending someone who would not qualify for the competition. This used to be a big issue a few years ago. Every Grand Master would try to enter their relatives and friends, even when they hardly qualified as a level 1 alchemist." Grandmaster Talon sighed and shook his head. "If you don't pass this final test, the recommendation Grandmaster Anthony and me issued will lose its effect, and we will not be allowed to recommend any other alchemists for any future competitions at the Alchemist Assembly. Not to mention, you won't be allowed to participate in the alchemy competition. Follow me and I will lead you to meet some of the other alchemists that were recommended by the other Grand Masters." Xavier nodded and followed Grandmaster Talon out of the room and along the corridor. They walked for a few minutes before reaching another door. Xavier narrowed his eyes as he was blinded by a wave of light coming from the room. As his eyes adjusted, he saw a large spacious hall in front of him. In it, a lot of alchemists lined up in rows. Xavier was surprised to see many other young people with the level 3 alchemist badge on their chests. He even recognized some of them. There's Yuko, and there's the princess from the imperial family. As they heard the door opening, they turned towards it. Many of them were stunned as they saw Xavier. However, after they saw his level 2 alchemist badge, their expressions changed. He's not even a level 3 alchemist. What is he doing here? I have no idea. Some people chuckled. The young princess, who was leaning against the wall, also stared at Xavier. As she saw his badge, she furrowed her thin brows and shook her head. Yuko was also surprised to see Xavier. On his face, a malicious smile spread for a few seconds. He is here too? Maybe I should do something to make sure he won't bother me during the competition. Suddenly, Xavier heard an old man call out, Taloon, you have also brought someone. Xavier looked at the source of the voice and saw a few older alchemists standing on a high stage at the left side of the hall. Grandmaster Taloon saw Xavier's confused expression and explained, That is the deputy chairman, Grandmaster Tang. He is also the teacher of the young princess. Don't mind the people staring at you like that. Since they all are extraordinarily talented, they have a tendency to act a bit arrogant. Now follow me so I can introduce you to them. Grandmaster Taloon walked over to the towering stage. Xavier followed quietly. One of the old men with long gray hair looked at Xavier and smiled. He wore a well-made alchemist robe and a level 4 alchemist badge on his chest that sparkled under the light of the lamps. Aside from this, there was nothing noteworthy about his appearance. This old man looked very unassuming. It was hard to believe that this man was in charge of half the strength of the Alchemist Society. Grandmaster Taloon, is this the alchemist you have recommended to represent the Alchemist Society branch of Obsidian City this year? Well, Xavier was looking at Grandmaster Tang. Grandmaster Tang also looked closely at Xavier. To him, there was also nothing remarkable about Xavier's appearance. The only thing that threw the old man off was how calm Xavier appeared to be. Usually, people around Xavier's age were nervous when they were inspected by a level 4 alchemist, but Xavier did not look nervous at all. Grandmaster Taloon placed a hand on Xavier's shoulder. Grandmaster Tang, this is Ying, Xiao Ying. He cleared his throat. He has a lot of potential. I have seen it myself. Ying, this is Grandmaster Tang, the deputy chairman of the Alchemist Society. Xavier took a respectful bow. It is nice to meet you, Grandmaster Tang. Grandmaster Tang laughed a bit. A level 2 alchemist, huh? I am excited to see how well you will perform. Xavier smiled. I'm sure I will be able to pass the test. It is good to have confidence. However, as a level 2 alchemist, you are on a lower level than most other people participating. So I imagine this test might be difficult for you. Grandmaster Tang warned Xavier. This warning did not bother Xavier. He knew that by now, he had all the qualifications of a level 3 alchemist. After all, he had refined a few level 3 pills before, and also gained a lot more control over the heavenly flame. All right, I believe everyone is here now, so we should get started. We have no time to waste. Grandmaster Tang walked down the stage into a corner from where he watched the alchemists. Grandmaster Taloon walked next to him. Grandmaster Taloon, Obsidian City is a rather large city, is it not? How does it come that you could not find a level 3 alchemist? Shouldn't it have been easy to find someone, well, let's call it more qualified? A smirk flashed over Grandmaster Taloon's face. I was not lying as I said he has a lot of potential. I believe in him. Grandmaster Tang shook his head. I am looking forward to seeing that. But if your branch in the Obsidian City will receive fewer funds next year, don't get mad at me. You know that recommending friends or relatives for personal gain is very frowned upon. Of course I know that. I have been doing this for a while. Let's worry about that later and start the test, Grandmaster Taloon replied. Without arguing about this, Grandmaster Tang nodded and walked in front of all the alchemists. He gestured behind him. You see these black curtains? Behind each one of these curtains is a small chamber. That is your examination room. As everyone knows, refining the ingredients is the most important step when it comes to refining a pill. The test this time requires you to refine the ingredients you can find in the room behind the curtain. The ingredients have already been picked.
You need to refine them as well as you can. When the sand in the hourglass runs out, those who have not refined the ingredients will have failed the test. If you manage to refine the ingredients, me and the other Grand Masters will be the judges of the quality. If your refined ingredients do not meet our standards, you will also have failed the test. Now, since all of you have been recommended by a Grand Master, I am sure you all understand that we are a lot more strict with you than with any other alchemist participating. If you fail this test, you will not be allowed to participate in the alchemist competition. Not this year, nor in any future year. Are the rules clear? There was some whispering and unhappy murmuring amongst the alchemists, but no one had any questions left. The tension in the room got a lot worse after Grandmaster Tang mentioned that anyone who failed this test would be disqualified from ever participating in the alchemy competition again. Grandmaster Tang clapped his hands. Very well then, let us begin the test. Mr. Tang gave the sign, and the sand in the hourglass began to flow. Every alchemist in the hall walked towards one of the black curtains and entered a cabin behind. Xavier walked towards one at the end of the hall. Suddenly, he heard someone laugh behind him. I did not expect to see you here. Looks like we are destined to compete against each other, doesn't it? Xavier turned around and frowned as he saw Yuko. I don't think so. I wasn't even sure if I wanted to participate in the competition, but someone dragged me here. Yuko laughed even louder. Oh, you're very funny. At least you have a heavenly flame, so I guess your results won't be too bad. Yuko did not want to say it, but he still had his doubts. Part of him thought that Jan only made the rumors that Xavier had a heavenly flame up to make him jealous. Either way, he would only truly believe that Xavier had a heavenly flame once he sees it. Xavier just shrugged and walked inside the small chamber behind the curtain. Yuko was left dumbfounded. The young princess walked up to him. Aren't you going to enter the chamber? You don't want to run out of time, do you? Yuko flushed red. Sorry, I just met someone I know. If you want to, I can introduce you to him. The princess let out a high-pitched laugh. The level 2 alchemist? No thanks. I'm not interested in meeting someone like that. Yuko also laughed a bit. It's up to you. Secretly, he was glad she was not as interested in Xavier as everyone else appeared to be. Yuko has never before seen Master Yi or Master Yuhan treat someone with as much respect as they treated Xavier. Not to mention, the way Lady Yan looked at him. Just thinking about it made his blood boil. As Yuko looked around, the hall was almost empty. He also hurried inside one of the small rooms behind a black curtain. Grandmaster Tang went back to the other Grandmasters on the high stage. He looked over the empty hall with a faint smile. The test this year is not too bad, is it? Refining ingredients is not only the most important step when it comes to refining pills, but also tests someone's ability to control their flame. This is a good way of figuring out their potential. Only someone with good control over their flame can refine an ingredient to its highest purity, and therefore has the potential to become a great alchemist. He sat down on a chair, and a servant poured him a cup of tea. Grandmaster Tang took it gratefully, and waited for the results. Then let us see who will bring out the purest refined ingredient, he added. Meanwhile, Xavier found himself in one of the small rooms behind the black curtain. The room was not spacious, but tidy and organized. At the wall of the room, there was a platform made of some green stone, probably jade. On it was an hourglass and a couple of ingredients. Xavier's gaze drifted over the ingredients. It was a few black leaves. They had a faint metal scent. This looks like the black iron leaf. It is resistant to heat, which makes it difficult to refine without using a lot of Q energy. Looks like the Grand Masters don't want to go easy on us. Xavier chuckled. He picked up the black iron leaf and rubbed it between his fingers. He thought for a moment if he should use his green lotus heavenly flame, but then decided against it. There is no point using it for this test. I think I should keep my heavenly flame hidden from the competition as a trump card. Swiftly, he rubbed over his storage ring. His cauldron appeared, and Xavier placed it in front of him. With a soft flick of his wrist, a purple pill appeared between his fingers. He took it, and immediately a burst of purple flames came out of his mouth. Xavier caught the flame from his mouth and pushed it into the cauldron. With the pill that I made to strengthen the purple flame, it should be no problem to refine the black iron leaf. Xavier used his spiritual strength to control the cluster of purple flames in the cauldron. It moved and wriggled happily around. Xavier smiled. His connection to the purple flame had also become a lot stronger. Without wasting time, he threw the black iron leaf inside the cauldron. A moment later, he closed his eyes. Xavier wanted to completely rely on his feelings to refine the black iron leaf. The sand in the hourglass kept running. In front of Grandmaster Tang also stood an hourglass on a table. Grandmaster Tang looked at the hourglass every few seconds. By now, half of the sand had fallen. He sighed and coughed a bit. Grandmaster Talon looked over to Grandmaster Tang. Maybe we overestimated their strength. Half of the time is up, and not one of the alchemists has come out. Grandmaster Tang softly shook his head with a faint smile on his lips. This is not surprising. They want to reach the highest level of purity. To do so, they would need some time. On the other hand, those alchemists who lack talent will be stressed about how to refine the ingredients to the highest quality. Who do you think will have the best test results? Grandmaster Talon threw the other old man a curious glance. It's hard to say. The wrinkled fingers of Grandmaster Tang tapped on the armrest of his chair for a moment, as he mused. Personally, I believe that Yuko has the best chance to deliver a good result. Not only is he very talented, but he is also the Pill King's apprentice. I have heard a lot about how much he had learned from his master already. Grandmaster Talon nodded. I see. Personally, I have a feeling the young princess of the imperial family also has good cards. With her family supporting her, she must have a lot of time to practice. I am not sure about that. The young princess is talented for sure, but she lacks experience. Unless she makes use of her hidden trump cards, I don't think she will achieve a better result than Yuko. Grandmaster Tang replied. Grandmaster Talon nodded. Shouldn't you have more faith in her? She is your apprentice after all. Grandmaster Tang laughed and waved his hand. Talon, how often do I tell you that personal relationships do not matter when it comes to alchemy? Speaking of which, do you still think this young level 2 alchemist you have recommended has much of a chance? You should not keep your hopes up just because you like him. Grandmaster Talon laughed a bit and shook his head quickly. I'm not keeping my hopes up just because I like him, but we will see how it goes. He crossed his arms and waited quietly for the results. After another few minutes, only a quarter of the sand was left on top of the hourglass. Finally, the first alchemist came walking out from behind the curtain. The Grand Masters leaned forwards in their chairs and held their breaths to see who was coming forth from behind the curtain. As Grandmaster Tang saw who it was, a smile spread over his face. I knew it would be him. The Pill King has trained him well so far. I am excited to see how good his results are. The other Grand Masters exchanged a few looks. It is Yuko. It appears he really is as talented as everyone says. Grandmaster Talon rolled his eyes. So far we have not seen how well refined his ingredients are. For all we know, his results could be of low quality. We should not jump to conclusions just because he finished first. Not even 5 minutes afterwards, the young princess also walked gracefully through the black curtain. As she saw Yuko, she smiled and walked towards him. Yuko, I did not expect you to finish that fast. He laughed. You were pretty quick as well. Looks like we are the first 2 people to finish. The young princess chuckled in a tone that sounded a bit arrogant. Don't get too cocky about that. You finished first, but perhaps I refined the ingredients a lot purer than you did. After another few minutes, the other alchemists came forth, one by one. The first 13 alchemists who finished all had a level 3 alchemist badge on their chests. Another 10 minutes later, all the alchemists with level 2 alchemist badges on their chests came forth. All save for one. Where's Xavier? Grandmaster Talon furrowed his brows as he silently wondered where Xavier was. He let his eyes sweep over the hall. Many alchemists were chatting and laughing with each other, but he could not find Xavier among them. Shouldn't he be done by now? He is exceptionally talented. There is no way he did not finish refining those ingredients. How can this be? He thought. Old friend's anxious expression and walked towards him to pat his shoulders. Meanwhile, Yuko had a smug smile on his face. He also noticed that Xavier did not step out of the small room yet. Looks like he is going to fail the entry test for the competition. That is too bad. I would have loved to humiliate him in front of every alchemist at the alchemist assembly. He laughed coldly. As time went by, the formerly empty hall was full again. Numerous people glanced at the one curtain that was still closed. Their curiosity grew. There were only a few grains of sand left on the top of the hourglass as suddenly, "Hey Yuko, is your friend finally coming out?" The young princess threw Yuko a malicious smile. Yuko turned red. "I met him like twice before. We're not friends." "Are you sure about that? You seem to be very close to him." The young princess threw him a sharp, teasing glance. Coming from the imperial family, she knew how important status and strength were when it came to relationships. In her family, it was thought that only those who were talented could become friends with other people who were equally talented. She knew, of course, that Yuko would get mad when someone assumed he was friends with someone beneath his level. Yuko did not reply to the teasing of the princess. He kept staring at the closed black curtain. Meanwhile, Grandmaster Tang stared at the hourglass. The last few grains of sand were about to pass. "Very well then. I have to announce that the time for the test—" "Sorry, I know I'm late." Xavier suddenly appeared from behind the curtain. He looked at the stunned Grandmaster Tang and took a bow. "I just wanted to make sure everything is done properly and clean up after myself. I hope that's okay," he explained. Grandmaster Tang's jaw dropped. He looked at Xavier and at the last grain of sand that just fell into the bottom of the hourglass. "Well, all right then. But I hope your results are good. Wasting time and achieving poor results are no good." Yuko narrowed his eyes as he looked at Xavier. "If his results are poor, he will be eliminated for sure. I hope this is the case. I don't want to see his face at the competition. He will only distract me." Grandmaster Tang looked at Grandmaster Taloon, who sighed in relief. Tang shook his head. "I know you are glad he made it in time, but if he rushed out like that, he probably didn't achieve any good results. You should give up on him before you get disappointed." Grandmaster Taloon waved it off. "I won't. Let's see the results first." Grandmaster Tang sighed and turned towards the alchemists in the hall below. "Very well then. Since everyone is here, we can begin to judge how well you have refined the ingredients." Grandmaster Tang walked to a figure on the stage that was veiled with a piece of black fabric. He lifted the fabric up, and beneath it was some sort of scale. "This is a purity measuring instrument. It was built by a famous blacksmith that our alchemist society hired. This instrument is able to accurately test the purity of the ingredients that you have refined. Do you all see this groove on the instrument? You will place your ingredient on it, and on the screen above, a number will be displayed. This number is between 1 and 10. 1 is the lowest, and 10 is the highest. To meet our standards and pass the test, you will need to achieve at least 4 points to pass. Understood?" he explained. The alchemists in the hall nodded and murmured. "All right. Now please place the black iron leaf that you have refined onto the instrument. Please tell us how often you have refined the ingredient when doing so. As you all know, ingredients can be refined multiple times. Each refining process will make it purer, but will also be harder than the refining process before. With my abilities, I would be able to refine this black iron leaf about 10 times, he added. The murmuring became louder. The refining process costs a lot of Q energy and spiritual energy after all. Most of the young alchemists gained some new respect for the old Grand Master as they heard this. Who wants to go first? Grandmaster Tang asked. The alchemists glanced at each other nervously. No one really wanted to be the first one. They were terrified of embarrassing themselves. Finally, one of the level 3 alchemists stepped up to the stage and placed his refined ingredient onto the instrument. He took a bow towards Grandmaster Tang and said, Sir, with my ability, I was only able to refine the black iron leaf 3 times. Grandmaster Tang nodded. That is not too bad. Then let's see how well you have done. 5. 5 points. Good job. You passed the test. Congratulations. The level 3 alchemist was relieved and walked back down to the hall under the loud applause and cheering from the others. Next! A level 2 alchemist was pushed forwards by some of his friends. Cold sweat was running down his forehead as he walked onto the stage. He placed the ingredients on the instrument and took a deep breath. I was only able to refine them twice, he murmured to Grandmaster Tang. The old man nodded. Moments later, a large red 4 appeared on the instrument. The alchemists applauded and cheered, much to the level 2 alchemist's relief. He hurried down the stage and went back to his friends, who patted his back and congratulated him. After the next few alchemists passed, the first alchemist who failed was the level 2 alchemist. His face turned pale. and he shook his head as he rushed down from the stage. A friend who was with him tried to cheer him up, but he could not stop his tears from flowing. Eventually, Yuko decided to walk up the stage. He placed the ingredients on the instrument and said with a faked humble smile, "I'm not sure if I was that good. I only could refine it 6 times." The alchemists in the hall were stunned. Even Grandmaster Tang did not know what to say. Refining an ingredient 6 times would require Yuko to be at the peak of the 3rd level. If that was the case, then it would only be a matter of months, or perhaps even weeks, before Yuko would jump to become a level 4 alchemist. Grandmaster Tang just helplessly nodded and waited for the instrument to show the result. Slowly, a large red 7 appeared on the screen. 7 points! Congratulations, you have passed. Grandmaster Tang himself joined the applause as Yuko took a bow and strolled down from the stage. Most alchemists who followed could not live up to Yuko's result. Some of them reached level 5, others level 4. As it was the young princess's turn, she was heartbroken to see that she was half a point beneath Yuko's result. She cursed silently as she walked down the stage. Many people around her tried to cheer her up. "At least you passed. 6.5 points is a great result, isn't it?" The princess crossed her arms and rolled her eyes, not commenting on this. Afterward, there were a few level 3 alchemists who reached 6 points. However, none of the alchemists after Yuko reached 7 points. After a while, Grandmaster Tang addressed the alchemists in the hall again. "All right, it looks like everyone got the test result. To those who passed." "Grandmaster Tang, I believe there is still someone whose result we did not get." Grandmaster Talun interrupted his old friend and pointed at Xavier, who was sitting with closed eyes in a corner. "Oh, indeed." Grandmaster Tang looked at the sleeping Xavier with a flabbergasted expression. "Young man, don't you want to show us how well you've refined your ingredients? Please come onto the stage." Xavier opened his eyes and lazily stretched himself as he walked up to the stage. He placed his ingredients on the instrument without a word. "How often did you refine your ingredients?" Grandmaster Tang raised an eyebrow. Xavier shrugged and thought for a moment. "I think like 8 times. I don't know. I wasn't keeping track, really." The hall fell into a deadly silence. Moments later, some people began to whisper with shocked faces. "Did he seriously just say 8 times? I heard this too. That doesn't sound right, does it? There is no way a level 2 alchemist refined these ingredients 8 times. How is this possible? Was he joking? He looked so serious, though. That can't be true." The young princess huffed as she heard this. Does he think he can just say a random number to make himself look better? What an arrogant asshole. Who does he think he is? Only seconds later, a large number appeared on the display, leaving everyone speechless. Even the jaw of the old Grandmaster Tang dropped. You could tell that Xavier had become a lot more powerful since they last met, but this was unexpected. If he is able to refine the black iron leaf 8 times and reach 9 points, then doesn't that mean he is a level 4 alchemist now? He turned to Xavier. The young man was unbothered. His expression did not show how he felt. It terrified the old Grand Master. He has never seen something like this before. The looks that were directed at Xavier changed. Suddenly, they were full of awe and respect. The young princess was confused. Did he hide his strength so that he gets humiliated? Is he some masochist? Why would he want that? She began to regret her earlier comments about him. However, she knew there was no point in going up to him and making him feel better by kissing his ass. Doing something like this was beneath her status as a princess. All she could do was sigh and curse herself in silence. Meanwhile, Yuko's expression changed rapidly. It turned very dark. His eyes stared at the large red 9 on the display. 9 points. I can't believe this. He is above me by 2 points. Yuko stormed towards the nearest wall and smashed his fist into it to get rid of some of his anger. Not even the Pill King was on such a level when he was Ying's age. Grandmaster Tang uttered with disbelief. He took a closer look at Xavier. There was a lot of newfound respect for the young man in his eyes. The old man then turned towards Talun and took a bow. Old friend, I am sorry for doubting you. Grandmaster Talun did not bother to hide his joy at this. He smiled. Forget about it. We should still announce all the results. Announce them? Do we still need to announce them? This young man is clearly the one who got the best result. Aside from Yuko and the young princess, none of the other results are noteworthy. Grandmaster Tang sighed and turned towards the alchemists in the hall below. All right, I would like to congratulate everyone who passed the test. Tomorrow will be the alchemy competition. I hope you are all aware of the stakes in place. There will be thousands of alchemists from all three empires. We from the Alchemist Society very much hope that someone from our empire will win this competition. It is a huge honor to be crowned champion. Xavier put his hands inside his pockets and watched the others. The only reason he wanted to win the alchemy competition was because of the prizes that he would get. He did not care much for representing the Alchemist Society, or anything else of this sort. As Grandmaster Tang saw how indifferent Xavier looked, he swallowed hard. He is a really terrifying young man, isn't he? I've never seen someone so young act in this composed manner. Not to mention that he far exceeded our requirements. Perhaps he will become the next Pill King. I need to tell Talon to keep an eye on this young man. I also need to ask him about this young man's background. We cannot afford to let some other strength take control of him. I need him to become the representative of the Alchemist Society, not some other faction. The old Grand Master shook his head and turned back to the alchemists. Very well then, the test is over. Thank you all for participating, and we wish you good luck at the alchemy competition tomorrow. Everyone remember to be on time. If you are late, you won't be allowed to participate. He threw a glance at Xavier. Immediately afterward, the alchemists in the hall scattered and took their leave. Xavier also went to walk towards the exit until someone suddenly showed up next to him. Hey, I wanted to walk with you. I had no idea you were hiding your full power. That was really awesome. As Xavier turned to his right, he saw Yuko. I wasn't hiding my full power. Don't be so humble, Yuko laughed. Did you use the heavenly flame during the test? I still can't believe you have one of them. They are super rare. Not even my master, the Pill King, has one. Although he really wants one, maybe you should meet him. Xavier was not in the mood to argue with him. He thought that Yuko was acting really childish. He also did not want to tell Yuko that he did not use the heavenly flame. From the way Yuko talked, he tried to understand why Xavier was so much better than him. Xavier did not blame him. Yuko has been hailed as a genius for years. It must be shocking to meet someone that exceeds his abilities. Yeah, sure. Xavier mumbled and moved through the door. Yuko stared at Xavier's back with a dumbfounded look on his face. He clenched his fists. Arrogant bastard. Sure, maybe he can refine ingredients better than me, but this does not prove anything. We will see who is the better alchemist tomorrow at the alchemy competition. As Xavier walked out of the hall, Grandmaster Talon caught up with him and kept walking next to him. Every now and then, Grandmaster Talon would tilt his head and look at Xavier. After a while, Xavier grew annoyed. Why are you staring at me? Grandmaster Talon laughed with embarrassment. I apologize, but with your performance today, there is something that worried me. Look, I know the old Grandmaster Tang very well. We've been friends for many years. I know him well enough to know that he will come up to me and ask me what I know about your background. Yeah, I figured, but I also realized that there is no point in hiding all of my abilities. They would have noticed at the alchemy competition tomorrow anyway, right? Anyway, please keep my identity secret. If you tell him my identity, then I won't be able to participate in the alchemy competition tomorrow. As Xavier said this, Grandmaster Talon was at a loss for words. He frowned, and eventually nodded his head, though he seemed reluctant to do so. All right, if you say so, then I have to accept this. I will do my best to keep your identity hidden. I can't afford to lose you to represent the Obsidian City branch of the Alchemist Society. It would break my heart. Xavier laughed. I'm glad you understand. He was about to ask something when suddenly, the old Grandmaster Anthony appeared in front of them in the corridor. Talon, how did it go? Did the test end? Numerous people surrounded them. Some of them slowed down as they saw the three men and wanted to overhear their conversation. They were curious to hear about the results as well. Xavier shrugged. Oh, I barely passed. You passed? That is great news. Grandmaster Anthony laughed loudly. I was worried. The alchemists participating in this test were all recommended by a Grandmaster, so you got some fierce competition. Don't worry, no one expects you to win the alchemy competition tomorrow. However, if you would be in the top 10, that would be great. Asa,
who was just standing next to him, furrowed her brows. Just passing isn't good enough to get into the top 10. Do you have any idea what sort of alchemists are participating? You stand no chance against them, especially not Yuko.
Enough about Yuko. I know all of you seem to worship him because he is the Pill King's apprentice. But Xavier is going to be representative of our branch at Obsidian City. At least be respectful.
Grandmaster Anthony threw Asa a warning glance. Grandmaster Talon sighed and shook his head.
Can the two of you just stop? You two haven't even heard the full story yet. You have no idea what happened. What happened? They asked.
Grandmaster Talon was about to tell them, as suddenly there was some commotion behind them. They all turned towards the source of the noise and saw the young princess, Yuko, and some other people next to them. Asa lightened up. Yuko, he is here. Oh man, I can't believe I get to see him again. There are so many things I want to tell him. Many other young alchemists must have felt the same. Suddenly, they began to swarm around Yuko. As he saw Xavier, his mouth twitched. It took him a lot of effort to force a polite smile as he approached Xavier.
Ying, I want to congratulate you.
He took a respectful bow. Xavier shook his head. Maybe I just got lucky.
If you say so. Anyway, I still have some stuff to do. I look forward to competing against you tomorrow. Goodbye.
Yuko hurried off and waved after Xavier. The young princess hesitated for a moment, and then also turned towards Xavier. Mr. Yang, there is a party today. Many alchemists will show up. Will you come as well? Xavier laughed. He was confused at her acting suddenly so nice towards him. He expected her to be too embarrassed to pretend to be nice to him. Sorry, I still have some other stuff to do, so I won't have the time. With a dumbfounded look on her face, the young princess watched Xavier disappear.
Do during the test? Asa raised an eyebrow and looked at Grandmaster Talon.
They had to refine a black iron leaf, he replied.
A black iron leaf? That is pretty difficult to refine, isn't it?
Asa questioned. Both Grandmasters nodded.
It is the hardest middle-grade ingredient to refine, mostly because of how resistant to heat it is. Even I could only refine it about, perhaps 8 times.
Grandmaster Anthony said. Grandmaster Talon nodded.
The young Master Yuko was able to refine it 6 times. 6 times? That is very impressive. He is truly worthy of being the Pill King's apprentice, isn't he?
Anthony was impressed. Yoon, the apprentice of Grandmaster Anthony, who overheard the conversation from the side, also stepped closer as she heard this. 6 times? I tried to refine a black iron leaf before and was only able to refine it 2 times. She frowned. Grandmaster Anthony patted her back.
You are nowhere near the level of the people who participated in this test. Don't beat yourself up about it. You are still learning.
Yoon nodded. She bit her lips. It's not like this matters. No matter how much I train, Yuko is more talented than anyone else within the entire empire. How will anyone be able to come close to that? Grandmaster Talon laughed.
That might not be true. Although the young man Yuko is an outstanding alchemist, there was someone who got a better test result than he did.
As Yoon, Asa, and Grandmaster Anthony heard this, they were at a loss for words. They exchanged a few confused looks. Master, you were joking, right? Grandmaster Talon shook his head with a proud smile.
Remember the young man who I recommended to represent our Obsidian City branch?
Well, he was able to refine the black iron leaf 8 times. Yoon was shocked. She struggled to believe this. Grandmaster Anthony felt the same about this.
Is this true, Talon? If this is true, then, my goodness, could you imagine how much our branch would benefit from someone so talented?
Grandmaster Talon nodded.
I know. I am also looking forward to seeing how well Xavier will perform. It should be easy for him to get into the top 10, although I'm still not sure if he will become the champion this year. Either way, the alchemy competition this year will be undoubtedly very exciting.
Xavier did not have much time to enjoy his small victory. He hurried back to the inn, rested for a few hours, and then immediately went to the Nalan clan to continue removing the poison from Master Yi's body. Although Xavier could tell that the poison in his body became stronger and stronger after each session, he continued without complaint. After all, he still had the protection of the Green Lotus Heavenly Flame. He hoped that if the poison would turn hostile, he could get rid of some of the poison with the Heavenly Flame.
I hope I can wake Lau up soon enough so he can help me to get rid of the poison in my body completely." He sighed. By now, the Nalan family recognized Xavier and respectfully bowed and greeted him whenever they saw him. As Xavier arrived today, it was already turning dark outside. As he walked into the entrance hall, he was surprised to see a lot of people. Amongst them were Yuko, Lady Yan, the young princess, and even Lady Fi, in a tight red dress with a white fur coat covering her shoulders. "What is going on here? Am I interrupting something?"
"Master Ying, it is good to see you here as well. Do come in and join us."
Just as Xavier wanted to turn around, he heard a soft, familiar voice. It was Lady Yan. She was standing next to a pillar. As she saw the disguised Xavier, her face lit up. She walked up to him.
"Master Ying, I have heard about your results. They were really incredible. Congratulations."
Xavier waved it off. "I just got lucky." He was not in the mood to talk to her. Lady Yan was feeling a bit bitter about how silent Xavier was. She was not used to people speaking so little whenever they were around her. All she could do was let out a polite laugh and walk back to the other people. Suddenly, Xavier heard someone else laugh. It was Lady Fi who walked up to him.
"Hello, Master Ying. It is good to see you again."
She winked at Xavier. Lady Yan suddenly stopped and turned back to Xavier.
"Oh, I did not know that the two of you were friends." "Oh, he did not mention me? Master Ying and I have been friends for a few years, haven't we?"
Lady Fi smiled at him and offered him a glass of wine she was holding. Some of the other men who were present turned green with jealousy as they saw this. Xavier only shrugged and took the glass of wine. He emptied the glass of wine in one go and it to Fi with a smirk. "What are you doing here anyway?" Lady Fi rolled her eyes and jokingly slapped Xavier's shoulder. Lady Yan, who watched them, had a sour expression on her face.
"Why is he so playful around her? He never smiled at anyone like that."
Naturally, she did not dare to say any of that. Instead, Lady Yan said,
"Master Ying, Lady Fi, I am so sorry. I hope I did not interrupt anything. I will go back to the others. You have some nerves to tease me like that to upset her."
Lady Fi raised one of her thin eyebrows as she smirked at Xavier. "Sorry, I really can't stand her though. I'm sure you know why," he replied.
"I do know why, but it has been 3 years. She matured a lot, didn't she?"
Lady Fi pointed out. Xavier shrugged. "On the outside, yes, but on the inside, I don't know. It feels like she is just putting on an act to not embarrass her family. Either way, I don't like her, and I don't see this changing anytime soon."
"If you say so."
Lady Fi put the empty wine glass on a table near her. "Fi, you still haven't answered my question. Why are you here? Don't tell me you were just in the mood to join a party and came here." Lady Fi smiled and nodded.
"Master Yi recovering is a big deal to the Nalan family. Since the Nalan family and the Premier family are allies and friends, I got invited to celebrate."
"So that's what they are celebrating. I thought it was because Yuko passed the alchemy test. But why are they celebrating before the poison has been fully removed from his body? It is a bit early for that, isn't it?" Xavier uttered. Lady Fi shook her head.
"Master Yi trusts your abilities as an alchemist. Besides, so far you've done a great job, haven't you? No one expected anyone to be able to help Master Yi, especially after seeing the Pill King fail. Most members of the Nalan clan gave up hope."
"I'm only here for the reward," Xavier said nonchalantly. Lady Fi sighed and shook her head.
"All right, anyway, let's go inside. The leader of our Premier clan really wants to meet you."
"I'm not interested in meeting more people. I only showed up to get the job done. Besides, I'm still exhausted from the alchemy test earlier today," he replied.
"Please, Xavier, come on. I've helped you so much. Do you have any idea how much you would embarrass me if I had to tell the head of our clan that you don't want to meet him?"
Lady Fi grabbed Xavier's arms and shook him. Xavier groaned. "Oh man, all right, stop it already. I'll meet him, but I won't stay around for too long. I need to see Master Yi and continue to get rid of the poison." Lady Fi smiled brightly as she heard this, and led Xavier through the large hall. Numerous people stared at her. As they saw that Lady Fi even held Xavier's hand, many jaws dropped. They glanced at the disguised Xavier with confusion. He did not look very handsome or wealthy. "Why is she holding his hands?" one man from the crowd asked. Haven't you heard? That is the legendary alchemist that saved Master Yi's life. Another man replied. That is the legendary alchemist? You're joking, right? Blurted the first man. No, I swear. I have seen him being let out by Master Yi and Master Yuhan themselves the last time he was here, answered the second man. Really? That's incredible, exclaimed another man. The whispering amongst the people grew louder and louder. After all, Lady Fi had become somewhat of a celebrity within the city. She was the youngest person to become a manager of the premier auction house. Many people had their doubts about her abilities. Some people even laughed and said she must have slept with someone to reach this position. But the gossiping quickly stopped as Lady Fi helped the auction house to almost double their income. She quickly proved to everyone that she was an outstanding manager. Many people were surprised by that, but their respect for Lady Fi grew immensely. As Lady Fi stopped in front of a few seats, she took a quick bow. Master Louis Premier, this is the young man I have told you about. She took a step back and let Xavier step forward. Xavier also took a bow. It is a pleasure to meet you, Master Premier. I have heard a lot about you. The old man on the chair laughed and stood up to shake Xavier's hand. I can say the same about you. Xavier flushed red. Really? I did not expect you to have heard much about me, aside from me being an alchemist. Louis Premier shook his head. Nonsense. I have heard a lot more about you. You have left quite the impression on the old Ice Emperor. The Ice Emperor? He did mention he wanted to meet you. How did this meeting go? I haven't seen him in a few days. Xavier remembered what the Ice Emperor Hai told him before he went off to visit the Premier clan. For a moment, Xavier got worried. Did he get himself into trouble? He questioned. Louis Premier laughed. Don't worry about him. Please take a seat. I have heard about your outstanding test results. Congratulations. Xavier turned red again and laughed awkwardly. Oh man, the Alchemist Society is really bad at keeping things secret, aren't they? It hasn't even been a day, and everyone knows about it. Of course everyone would know about it. This is a huge deal. I cannot even think of 5 people who managed to get such a result at such a young age. It is astounding. If you ever need help, then you can tell Fi, and she will let us know. It appears the two of you are old friends. Xavier did not comment on this. From the way Louis Premier said this, he must have thought Xavier and Lady Fi were more than just friends. Xavier sat down and glanced at Lady Fi, who reached for another glass of wine. All he could do was nod with a smile. Master Yuhan let his eyes sweep over the hall. All of the guests were chatting, laughing, and having a great time at the party. As he saw Xavier have a joyous conversation with the head of the Premier clan, Louis Premier, and some other people, he was surprised. He went over to Lady Yan and asked her, Yan, are your friend and Louis Premier close? They seem like they're friends, don't they? Lady Yan looked over to the corner where Xavier sat with the others. She took a sip of red wine and then shook her head. I don't think he is close with Louis, but with Lady Fi. After all, he came here with a recommendation letter from Lady Fi, remember? Yuhan furrowed his brows and nodded. How shameless, using Lady Fi to get this alchemist's sympathy. He let out a deep sigh. With this alchemist's potential, it would be awful if he would join the Premier clan instead of us. However, maybe we could also use a beautiful lady to get his attention. He looked at Lady Yan, who had a dumbfounded look on her face as she overheard this. Father, what are you talking about? She questioned. Master Yi, who walked up to them as they were talking, overheard this as well and laughed. You should forget about this. As the alchemist and Lady Yan met, he showed not the slightest interest in her. In fact, he seemed very cold towards her. If you send her towards him, you will only get rid of him faster. Lady Yan threw him a deadly glare. You old man have some nerves. Shouldn't someone of your age have learned some manners by now? Master Yi laughed. You were one to talk about manners, you brat. Can the two of you just stop? We need to think. It's not only that Lady Fi's beauty is hard to compete with, but she also has great social skills and connections. I have no idea how we could compare to this. Yuhan sighed. Of course she does, Lady Yan added and rolled her eyes. Everyone within the Premier clan is an excellent businessman. Their entire clan is built up by doing commerce. What did you expect? As she looked over to Xavier and Lady Phi chatting and laughing, she felt a sting in her heart. Never did this alchemist look at her with the warm, friendly expression he looked at Lady Phi with. Quietly, Lady Yan took another sip of red wine. She felt helpless. Master Yi also sighed. You are right, Yuhan. We need to think of a way to keep this alchemist around our family, and not the premier family. If this young alchemist becomes as powerful as the Pill King, then it would be a shame to lose him. Just think of all the benefits the Pill King had brought to the faction of the Misty Clouds. They were always a powerful force, but with the Pill King's help, they have become a force not even the Emperor would dare to fight. Oh, and speaking of fight, Yan, pay some attention to your friend Yuko. He is talented when it comes to alchemy, but a fool when it comes to anything else. If he tries to become enemies with the young alchemist who helped me recover, I will make sure that Yuko will pay for it. I hope you understand. Understood, Lady Yan immediately replied. She knew Yuko well, and therefore knew that her grandfather did not trust or like him. Yuko was very proud, and had a tendency to overestimate his strength outside of alchemy. Lady Yan and Master Yi both knew that this would backfire sooner or later. The old Master Yi also reached for a glass of wine and took a sip. Thanks to Xavier, he felt a lot better. After a moment of silence, he said, Oh, why did the people from the Wu clan not show up? I invited them. The Wu clan, they are one of the largest clans in the Empire of the Heavens. Knowing them, they are probably busy fighting and beating each other up. I've never met a clan so obsessed with fighting. Yuhan sighed and shook his head. I did hear that Shan Wu has returned from the northwestern border of the Empire. Maybe he will show up. Can't say I would be happy to meet him. Master Yi frowned. Shan Wu? I was hoping one of the elders would show up. Not that brute that beats children and leaves a trail of blood wherever he goes. The last thing I've heard of him was that he beat up the children of a clan and used them to intimidate their leader into submission. Yes, that guy. The only reason he keeps getting away with this is that he somehow became the leader of the Crown Prince's clique. Yuhan let out a bitter laugh, and also reached for a glass of wine. I also remember that he was very interested in Lady Phi before he left the capital. He said he would come back for her, and kill anyone who dared to touch her while he was gone. It caused some great uproar between the Wu clan and the Premier clan back then, he added. Lady Yan's mouth twitched into a smile for a split second. I wonder if he is still as unreasonable and barbaric as he was 2 years ago. Do you think staying 2 years at the border will have changed him much? Master Yi stroked his chin and thought for a bit. I don't know, but I do worry about what will happen if he shows up. But I do hope that if it comes to a fight, the young alchemist Ying won't end up like that young man that Shan had crippled in the past. That was very tragic. Either way, this mysterious alchemist is a lot stronger than anyone I've met around his age, so I think he will be able to defend himself very well. Not to mention, he is an alchemist. Hopefully Shan will have some respect for that. Lady Yan nodded. After spending some time with the faction of the Misty Clouds, she got to know the Pill King's abilities. An alchemist was not to be underestimated during a fight, especially someone who was hiding his true strength and had a heavenly flame in his possession, like the young alchemist that was so close to Lady Phi. Meanwhile, the young princess was talking with Yuko. Yuko, I am surprised that this is the alchemist that got 2 more points than you did. He looks boring, doesn't he? Not like you would imagine a powerful alchemist to look like. She took a look at the disguised Xavier and shook her head. Yuko laughed and took a sip of wine. Yeah, but I guess it can't be helped. If he is more skilled than me, then I can't do anything about it. Another young man walked to the two of them. He joined in on the laughter. Losing against this guy? Do you think he cheated? How else could he get a better result than the apprentice of the Pill King? His laughter suddenly stopped as he saw Lady Phi directly next to Xavier. His smile immediately dropped. Oh dear, I should inform him. The young man suddenly put his glass of wine on a table and rushed out of the hall. The princess had a malicious smirk on her lips and took a sip of red wine. Looks like this party is about to get very interesting, she chimed. What do you mean? Yuko was at a loss. Just wait and see. The princess chuckled and gulped down the rest of the wine in her glass. A few minutes after the young man rushed out, another man appeared on a blood-red horse in front of the mansion of the Nalan clan. He galloped at full speed, not caring about any of the passers-by. They could only helplessly dodge. Some of them were thrown backwards on the ground and threw scared looks at the horse and the rider. At the main entrance, the man on the horse jumped off and raised his head. Anger was burning in his eyes. Under the light of the windows, he looked like a fierce tiger, ready to shred anyone in his way apart. The guard said something to him, but he did not pay them any attention. Without hesitation, he walked into the mansion of the Nalan clan. On his way to the hall, he randomly pushed a vase over. The servant who saw this was startled, but did not dare to say anything. Without complaint, she went to clean up the shards of the broken vase from the floor. The man who saw this grinned, but did not say anything either. As he reached the others at the party, he took a look at them. What a bunch of idiots. Some of the people who saw him were shocked. Others had a malicious smile on their faces. They could see the bloodlust on his face. Some looked around for help. It was clear that this man was looking for trouble. Unfortunately, the strongest people at the party, Louis Premier and Yi Nalan, went to a back room to smoke something together, so they could not stop the man from walking right into the hall. Lady Fi and Xavier, who were still chatting at the table, did not notice how this man walked directly up to them. Suddenly, Xavier, who wanted to take a sip of wine, paused. His hand stopped as the glass was close to his lips. He huffed. He could suddenly sense something was wrong. Xavier jumped up from the chair. Green Q energy surged from Xavier's body, and he blocked off the approaching Q energy attack of the man behind him. The glass Xavier had in his hands was shattered. Some of the shards of glass cut into his hands. The table he was sitting at a few seconds ago cracked under the burst of Q energy. Xavier's expression turned grim as he turned around to face the stranger. The people at the party turned towards the commotion. They were stunned to see Xavier in the middle of this. They all knew him well. Never before had they seen him with such a terrifying look on his face. The young princess looked as if she was enjoying this show. Finally, something exciting. I was getting bored. She chuckled and took a sip of wine. She and the people around her recognized not only Xavier, but also the man next to him. Shan Wu, Yuko said with a bitter smile. So that's what you meant when you said tonight will get interesting.
What did you think? We all know Shan wants to get Lady Fi. Back before he left the capital, he even said he would kill anyone who touched her while he was gone. It looks like this mysterious alchemist has bad timing. Being so close to Lady Fi right now is a death sentence.
The princess threw Yuko a malicious smile. Yuko was also not unhappy about this. If I'm not wrong, then he must be at least a level 6 true master. I think he's going to teach this arrogant alchemist a lesson. Serves him right, don't you think?
I agree, but unfortunately, I don't think it will be this easy to get rid of that alchemist.
The princess sighed. What do you mean? Why not? Yuko asked. The princess rolled her eyes.
Because we are in the house of the Nalan family. If Master Yi sees this, he will put a quick end to it. He won't allow someone to beat up his guest, especially not the one that saved his life.
Yuko nodded. The princess had a good point. Even though Master Yi and Master Yuhan were gone, if they came back and saw what was going on, they would put a quick end to it. Xavier clenched his fist. Some of the shards from the glass left cuts. Blood was dripping down his hand. He glared at the angry man in front of him.
What's wrong with you, you fucking brain-dead idiot?
Xavier could tell that this man would not hold back. If he had not blocked off the attack, Xavier would have been seriously injured. His blood was boiling. Shan grinned widely as he looked over to Lady Fi. Fi, it has been a long time since we've seen each other. You were even more beautiful. You are the only woman that will be worthy to become my wife.
You fucking pig.
Even Lady Fi turned red with anger. Shan was still as much of an asshole as he was 2 years ago. She quickly turned to Xavier.
Are you all right?
Xavier did not answer.
Who is he? Shan Wu. He is a member of the Wu clan. Part of the reason I wanted to travel was to avoid him. He has been bothering me for ages. It really scares me, she explained. I can see why. His attack was really vicious.
Xavier huffed and took a step forwards.
Don't be reckless. Shan is amongst the strongest people of his age. He was already a true master 2 years ago. I'm not sure what level he is on right now. If you were going to fight him, then...
Xavier did not listen to Fi and walked closer to Shan. Are you new to the capital? You have some nerves getting so close to my wife. An insane spark lit up Shan's eyes. Xavier did not let this intimidate him. He raised his head and looked around the hall. A few guests already left. They were most likely looking for Master Yi to ask for help. Perhaps Lady Fi is right. Xavier thought for a moment. This man is clearly insane and dangerous, but it has been a while since I got into a fight. He stretched out his hand and aimed it at one of the chairs. Immediately, one of the legs of the chair came flying towards Xavier. He caught it and held it tightly. An instant later, Xavier let some more of his green Q energy come forth. He jumped off the ground and aimed an attack at Shan. "You have some guts, I'll give you that." Shan laughed. Some green Q energy came forth from his body and wrapped around his fists. Those who knew Shan could only shake their heads. They thought Xavier was only doing this to impress Lady Fi. "This alchemist really has a death wish, doesn't he? If he had some sense, he would have stood still and waited for Master Yi and the others to show up." The people who were watching were terrified. Some of them moved closer to the exit so they could escape if things took a turn for the worse. The princess had a smile on her face that made her look like a demon. "It looks like there will be one less alchemist to worry about during the competition." The leg of the chair that Xavier used as a weapon was blown apart by Shan. Pieces of wood flew in all directions. Shan clenched his fist and aimed it at Xavier. Xavier tilted his head and moved to dodge the fist. The Q energy that surrounded Shan's fist was strong enough to leave a bruise on Xavier's skin. Xavier ducked down and moved his legs to hit Shan's legs, throwing him off balance. Shan was forced to take a step back, but he had enough experience to handle an attack like this. While Xavier was still close to the ground, Shan aimed a violent kick at his head. Xavier was caught by surprise. With no hesitation, he summoned a small green wisp of the heavenly flame. This tiny green wisp joined to the green Q energy that Xavier wrapped around his fist. No one saw this. As quickly as he could, Xavier smashed his fist with the green flame against the foot that was aiming at his head. As the two forces of energy collided, Shan and Xavier were both sent flying backward. Thin crack lines appeared on the ground where they were a second ago. Xavier groaned as he crashed with his back against the wall. He did not have enough time to complain about the pain. With trembling legs, he stood up. As he looked at Shan, Xavier was glad to see that he was also in a bad state. Everyone who saw this turned towards Xavier with astonished faces. They did not think he was weak since he was an alchemist, but they did not expect that Xavier was strong enough to leave Shan in such a condition. Their fight only lasted for about a minute. Most of the younger people present were also amongst the nobility. They all knew Shan. They also knew that Shan had been training with the military for the past 2 years. None of them expected to see him as a bloody mess on the floor after fighting for just a minute. The princess was stunned too. "That alchemist is a lot more powerful than I thought when it comes to fighting. How scary." Yuko's face twitched a few times. Secretly, he was also hoping that Xavier would be unable to compete in the alchemy competition. But it looked like this was not going to happen. Lady Fi rushed towards Xavier. "Are you all right?" He coughed a bit but nodded. His legs were still trembling. "I'm fine. Pretty sure he is not a level 6 true master though. Judging from his attack, he should be at level 8 or 9. Xavier glanced at the injured Shan. He knew he got lucky that Shan had a wood attribute, since Xavier himself had a fire attribute. When fire fights against wood, they would naturally have a higher chance of winning the fight. Of course, there were always exceptions to this rule, but it appeared that this time around, Xavier benefited greatly from his fire attribute. Shan regained his senses and stood up. He coughed up some blood. "Not bad. I did not think some arrogant alchemist knew how to fight. Either way, you better stay away from my wife." Suddenly, he summoned a Q energy armor and rushed toward Xavier. Xavier's eyes narrowed. A Q energy armor? How is he able to summon a Q energy armor as a true master? I thought only someone that is at least a she-master can summon a Q energy armor. His expression turned grave as Shan came closer.